So one of the bigger concerns that I've heard coming from the community, if I was to just like pick one of them, is about the difficulty of contributions, and there's been some really sharp people. I was just talking with Ivan Chapernier from Netherlands, and he was talking, and so he runs a single person consulting company, Ecom Dev.
Yep.
And he's and he was specifically talking about this issue, and I've heard it from quite a few others. Like really, like this dude's one of the sharpest knives in the drawer when it comes to performance. And so, but it's frustrating and difficult for them to get these type of contributions into Magento for one reason or another. And to them, it feels like big layers of bureaucracy. What can you speak to about solutions for this type of a problem? Because it is an open source project, but if you can't actually get stuff into there, it's kind of open source, but kind of not as well. Does that make sense?
It does. I think there's two ways. And Ivan, continues to do great work in the community. I've just been around for a long, long time in here. And I think, when I think about performance and I think about the need here, again, as a product, I would say there's some process aspects of this and product aspects to this. And so, when we look at things like performance, the first thing I think of is like, Yvonne, we should be talking to him and say, okay, what change, what PR, what work do you have to contribute to here? And I think if you were to look around there have been some changes in faces. And so maybe the calls that he would be making are maybe differently from that. And I think there's some change in process, some change in faces that we're all, I think, wanting to reintroduce ourselves. And you're starting to see that in the last couple of weeks. Some folks like, Nicole Cornelson from the engineering team, Chris Hedge, who is going to be doing he's my director. He's going to be doing the keynote at MA Connect next week. We are all starting to say, and you're starting to see a lot of the same things. And so I think part of it is just making sure that we're giving the right attention the right way, but also growing and scaling it. And what we mean by that is, for something like that, or maybe something that may not be as, let's say, as critical as performance, because we always want to make sure that we're working towards performance. We've basically restarted a community contribution model that is a bit more distributed. And I think the way that we kind of described it yesterday is this idea of like the old kind of Windows systems service packs types of things where you don't want to hold back innovation, but look at it in a way that can be packaged and consumed very quickly for, at points of need. But I'll tell you what, for the things that are really important, like performance or security or other areas, we got to find ways to bring those back. And so I think one of the good things, even the last couple of weeks, is we're starting to reinvest in and starting to look at turnaround times for PRs, where amidst all the changes, and especially in a year, really a year and a half, without even contribution days or other accelerators into this process, we haven't quite had that yet. And so I think there's a bit of an acknowledgement there to invest and give more attention to those. But quite honestly, I also want to make sure that we don't lose folks like him with some of the ideas and even the suggestions and contributions he has. And so how do we grow and scale that amidst all the things that are happening, where we still have a very, a lean open source product? There still will be innovation. And how do you look at that channel or that mechanism, between forward and backward compatibility that makes the most sense? And that's really where the hard part is. And we're going to bring in, we've got a couple architects will be part of this open source task force to help us understand what that looks like. I'm a product person, so it's easier said than done, but I understand that, like, in consumer context, this is all very much possible. You see this with browsers, where like the Chromium engine, can be manifested inside of what's happening at Amazon and Microsoft and even Chrome itself, and it serves many, many needs, sometimes with different faces, right? And so, what does that look like?
Right.
And so, I think for me, I think that's where the potential is. I'm only looking at it though from a certain perspective. We've got smart folks like Igor and others behind the scenes are starting to unpack, like, what does this look like? How do but I'm also making sure that we're not overlooking the non-functional pieces, which is, hey, let's have some transparency. Who do we go to for X, Y, and Z? What does this process looks like? And there's just been a lot of that I think we're all catching up to for that one. So we're looking at it from both sides of that. And I want to find a way where he can call any one of us, and he knows who to call and how to raise these things and for us to grow and scale where it makes sense.